Mabuhay. This is Bob's Love Beyond the Sea. Going to do a second live stream here this week. I haven't been doing them for a while, and I'm not sure. I might have done one last year, 2024, and I thought, well, they used to do pretty good, and things kind of fell off, and so I thought I would do another one the other day. And it says live, so definitely I did not leave it on the private button. My channel is called Love Beyond the Sea. What that means is love is tied in with marriage. I married a woman from the Philippines back in 2015 beyond the sea, 9,800 flight miles, something I had never done before or ever thought I would. But I did want to get married. I did want to find love. Love, in the case of my channel, equals marriage. And I've got a whole playlist on the topic of love from a lot of them are from gotquestions.org as we ask they answer all kinds of questions about love to kind of show you what that really means, because I think that is the key to lasting marriage, and that's all I ever wanted. I never wanted to be a serial dater or anything like that. I just wanted to get married, and back in 2015 I finally did, way beyond the sea. I wish I had thought of it sooner, but I didn't. So my channel is to help people who are in their 20s and 30s even consider at some point, hooking up with someone overseas, at least online, to get started. This is not an uncommon thing, and it really never has been. So people do meet that way, and you don't have to be 50, 60, 70 years old, even, as most of your life is over. So I don't want to say partial to helping younger people, but they do have more opportunity to get married than an older person. So if you're 53, like I was, I try to encourage you to be ready, um, to be prepared mentally, to be realistic about what you're getting into, so that when you get married, you can have a success with your last relationship. And I welcome comments here today. Here's three recent videos I did that are open for discussion today. One question is, will your Filipina miss you when you're gone? And the reason I have that title is there are a lot of people who say that the Filipina, you know, didn't love you to begin with. Excuse me. And so, yeah, she probably wants you to go, wants you to be dead so she can move on without you. But that's not always the way it is, certainly not the way you want it to be. Another one, how much are you worth to your Filipina partner? A bit of a play on words, because I'm not referring to money or monetary wealth. I'm talking about, in general, how much she values you in her life. There are men who will tell you, often based on their own experience and also from what they've read of others, and they assume that um, the Filipino you marry will never really, va- excuse me, value you at all. Just ate some hamburger helper, and after Sky got into it behind my back, I had to stop. But I think that's why it's making me cough. Um, but I would like to think that when my wife dies, and we've been married almost 10 years, we're 4 months short of 10 years, believe it or not, that she would value the fact that I have left. And we can talk about how to accomplish that. And another one, if you're so inclined, do you feel alone with your Filipina partner? Do you feel alone with her? This is the idea of being married to someone. And of course, you've got all your expectations, and yet you're not necessarily dissatisfied, but you feel kind of alone. You feel that something's missing. Now, here, I think it was, well, it could have been TikTok. I'm not sure. But all of the responses I got, and this was one of the more popular videos of the last couple of weeks. Do you feel alone? Excuse me. Will your Filipina miss you when you're gone? The results were no. No, she's not going to miss me. And some other people said, they do feel alone with their Filipina partner. And so I'm always curious about why these things happen and what could be done about it. But I'm not here to talk the whole time. I really would like to reply to questions or comments here on my channel. Again, been married for almost 10 years, so I've been through enough ups and downs to know that marriage is not simple, not even with a woman from the Philippines. There are people that glamorize the Philippines just like they glamorize Filipinas as the perfect wife. Now, I started looking for one because I had heard many years ago that Filipinas made good wives. By that, I'm talking about the maybe early 90s. So, what was that? About 35 years ago. But at that age, I didn't plan on going overseas to meet anybody. Still believed I could meet somebody right here in the United States of America. But I didn't, couldn't, I guess, wasn't meant to be. And I knew somebody that did marry a woman from the Philippines. That was so long ago, they didn't have the internet to communicate. They communicated by regular mail, and mail to and from the Philippines can take a very long time. I remember I mailed a birthday card to my wife right after we got married. That was in May of 2015. Her birthday's in November, and she got here in January. I sent her a card. I think it took like a month to get there, just a birthday card. And that's how it goes. So you can imagine when you're communicating with somebody with handwritten letters that it can take a long time. And so the church I was at was skeptical. Um, and I suppose I can understand that because when I married, I had my pastor go on the camera here and talk to my wife, and before she came over here, and before we got married, and have her talk to my mother. And you couldn't do that way back then. You really had to hope that your friend was not getting taken advantage of. And so this couple did get married way back in the 90s. They're all their kids, probably 3, 4 children are grown up. And I think that this couple, now in their 60s, upper 60s, are planning on moving to the Philippines to live full time. So there's one success story from the very first person that I personally knew who married a woman from the Philippines. They're still together, um, and they were both working as of a few years ago. I know he retired because he was getting, certainly old enough to retire and worked long enough to retire, and his wife was still working in her early 60s. So here in the States. And so when people say, well, she's just going to leave you and get a job and you'll never see her again, that just isn't true. I mean, this woman was working. My wife was trying to help her get jobs where my wife worked. My wife has been here since 2016, January. So she got here about 8 months after we got married in May 2015. And she wanted to work right away. One of the first things I remember us doing was going to the downtown and getting her a social security card or number so that she could work, because my wife told me she wants to work. And I thought, well, that's appropriate. She can have money for herself. She can help us. Not that I was asking for it, for her financial help, because I wasn't. And she could help her family. And now, 8 years in, since being here, My wife is doing extremely well in the workforce. I wasn't expecting that. She wasn't expecting that. All we knew was that she was quick learner and worked very hard, took her job very seriously. And once I started noticing from my 40 years of work experience at the same company that she had real skills that were transferable in manufacturing. She moved up very quickly. She's been a supervisor at her last two jobs, and she's still here. We don't really have money issues because she's making so much money, and I've been retired for officially for I don't know about a year. Well, I haven't worked for about 4.5 years, but um, I did get SSDI eventually after that. And so we're doing fine. My wife is still working. All this furniture you see here within your view is all new. And going to have some new furniture moved in the bedroom soon that she bought. So, and we're going to put some vinyl flooring in here. You might not have caught a glimpse of our dog, but it just, this place is 18 years old now. It's a townhouse, and it'd be nice to have vinyl in here when Sky has her mistakes in the house. And I might even put a fence in outside sometime this year. But excuse me, our dog has been a big part of our relationship. Sky, are you here? Maybe she'll make an appearance here. So we're still married. I know other people that are married. The first Sky, come here, hon, come here, baby. Now I know the first Philam couple that we met um, when my wife got here. They're still married. Come here, come here, baby. Oh, come here. Daddy wants you to come up here, girl. Oh, this is my baby. This is my beautiful Sky. This is the love of our life. 20 pounds of fur that doesn't shed. So Sky is a cockapoo. Come here, darling. There she is. So beautiful. Hey, baby. Oh. Sky is very good to for us and to us. And I have a big job, feeding her and walking her, playing with her, which we're going to do when we're done here. So she helps keep me company when my wife is at work. So again, the Philam couple we met right away. They're still married longer than we've been married. And so these relationships can work, and there are reasons why when they don't work. Sky here is a very sharp dog. My wife has learned Spanish in 1 year, which really helps her on her job. Now she's fluent in a year. Like I said, she learns very quickly. So Sky now can bark in Spanish. She can bark in English, and she can bark in two Filipino dialects. So she's very much learning from my wife. Very smart dog. Come here, baby. Now you can go do something else. There you go, hon. So we got a bigger family now with Sky in it. So the topics I want to talk about, just to get something started here, will your Filipina miss you when you're gone? You might say, well, that's a negative topic. Um, I'm not a negative person, but I am a realistic person and a transparent person. So again, I'm going to have a channel that talks about the real ups and downs and hardships and pluses and minuses about a relationship with a woman overseas. And by the way, the things I talk about would be transferable to any relationship with a man and a woman, I would think. Although a lot of people that are watching these videos, and I wish a lot more would, are interested in foreign women. And I think your Filipina should miss you when you're gone, although I haven't heard anybody say that theirs would, which is really kind of sad. And how much are you worth to your Filipina partner, not in money, because a lot of men who are married to women from the Philippines don't have a lot of money. And so, again, the common stereotype is unless you make six figures a year or you have such and such money in the bank, the Philippine is not going to be interested in you. And then, even if she is, she might take that money and leave once she gets her green card or citizenship. And my wife has her citizenship. She didn't even want it when she got here. And then she thought about the value of a U.S. passport, and she decided to get it. And then we went to Chicago and got her dual citizenship, um, because when a Filipina is here in the United States anyway and gets a U.S. citizenship, she must relinquish her Filipino citizenship. That means hand over your passport, apparently. So you got to relinquish it, but then you can go back to your nearest embassy in the United States and get it back. It's probably just a big waste of time for more money for somebody, but we did that, as many have. And I plan on dying here with my wife. So if there's something I'm doing right, I want to pass it on here. For people saying these relationships never work, well, many of us, including myself, are living proof that they do work, but they don't work automatically. You have certain things you need to do as a husband to ensure the best chance for it to working. Now, in life, there are never any guarantees with your health, with your occupation, with your relationships. You just, there are no guarantees for anybody. And the other one here we're talking about, I could talk about it, somebody wants to talk about it. Do you feel alone with your Filipino partner? Because it's not a pleasant thing to think about, but why not think about it before you get married and find out that you don't have a lot in common. And so you feel alone with your Filipino partner. Will your Filipina miss you when you're gone? Hopefully so. Why would she not miss you? Well, she wouldn't miss you if you were, uh, I don't know, verbally abusive. She wouldn't miss her husband if he wasn't attempting to build up her self esteem. She wouldn't miss her husband if he was a cheapskate. She wouldn't miss her husband if he had a wandering eye. She wouldn't miss her husband when he's gone if he was untrustworthy or if he demeaned her, cut her down. She wouldn't miss her husband when he's gone if she didn't support him in the things that were important to her. And so these are things you have to do. I think a lot of people feel like, okay, I'll go to the trouble of 1 or 2 years to date, and I'll go meet her, I'll come home, go back, meet her again, maybe marry her the second time, and maybe after 4 or 5 years we get married. And I mean, that might be a good plan if you're young enough. I would, I'm of the belief person should get married as soon as they legally can. And so when I'm hearing about people in their 30s, I feel bad for them because they already missed out on a lot of time with being married. Um, I certainly, when I was 30, or even 25, I wanted to get married very bad. And I had to wait till I was 53, but, I waited and waited and toughed it out and got married. But 30 is kind of old for getting married. 40 is old for getting married. I'm just, stating reality. By 40, you've lived half your life or more. And by 53, I felt like I had lived 70% of my life or more. Nevertheless, I didn't want to die alone and say, well, I never got married. What happened to this great desire to be a husband and be married? And then never happened. I didn't want to go through that. I thought the Philippines was my last attempt, I guess, to try to get married. And it worked. I got married very quickly. March 17th, I think, I winked at my wife from work at first break, and it was getting late over there, and she wasn't feeling well. She was sick, but she said, I'll, I can stay up at your lunch, and which would have been around 2 in the morning for her. And I said, oh, no, please don't. That's just, I'm not going to ask you to do that because big 12, 13, 14-hour time zone difference. And so, but that was a green flag right away. If she's willing to wait till 2 in the morning to talk to me um, after my lunch, I thought that's a good sign. This was like March 17th. And then 5 days later, we actually did talk for the first time. And then I realized I liked her a lot. I felt she had integrity. And by day 12, that's an even dozen, I told my pastor I was possibly going to propose to my wife. And I ended up doing that on day 18. That's pretty fast, proposing in 18 days. Hadn't met her yet, Sky. And so then I flew out there. It was April. I think I got there in April, had an appointment on April 25th. And then we got married May 10th. You have to be there for 10 days. You can't just walk off the plane and get married. Appreciate the thumbs up there from somebody watching here today. So March 17th, I winked at her. That's an emoticon. And hi, Parabiology. In fact, this gentleman here and I have the same wedding anniversary, May 10th. His was 2024, mine was 2015. So maybe that's a good day for people to get married. We didn't have I don't remember if we even had a day picked out. We just had to go through all of the preparations and make sure that the invitations got out, make sure I had a barong big enough to fit me. And so we got married on May 10th, less than 8 weeks after I met her from the United States of America. And we're still married. And would she miss me when I'm gone? Yes, I know she would, because I've done the opposite of those negatives that I listed. I've always been approving and supportive of my wife working, and with her job, she had no idea she was as skilled as she was. You know, she's a good leader at work, and she works extremely hard. She's made an impression everywhere she's been. Like within the first week, people are raving about her wherever she's been, because, well, when you work that hard and that well, people take notice. And so now she's a supervisor at her second job, big company. I think they sold like $21.5 billion worth of product last year. She's doing extremely well. I'm very proud of her, and encourage her to save money too. And so we're not hurting financially. I didn't marry her for her money. I told her she didn't even have to work if she didn't want to. If she could find something fulfilling to do, she wanted to work. She's doing a great job, and she's going to work 12 hours tonight. It's been a while since she worked 12 hours, so she'll leave at 3 a.m. She'll be home about 3:30, so about 11:30, Sky will be expecting her home, and Sky can tell time. She's very smart, cockapoo, and she'll start sitting up on the bed wondering where my wife is. So we'll see how that goes. But will my wife miss me? Yeah. Why? Well, I'm good to her. I try to build her up. I try to focus on her positives. I try to thank her for the little things she does, like cleaning out the garage. She's good at organizing when she has time. You know, she works a lot, but the garage looks really as good as it's ever been. Storage room down here is very well organized. Pantry upstairs, very well organized. She likes to do that, and so I try to stay out of the way as far as interjecting my thoughts, because it's her desire. Now, if I just hate something being somewhere, then I'll say, no, I really think it's better over here. But we don't usually have those type of disagreements. But you will have disagreements with your wife. I'm not saying you have to let her do everything she wants, but don't have a short leash on her. Don't try to control her. If a man tries to control his Filipino wife, she's not going to miss him. When he's gone, she's going to be glad that he's gone. So, by the same token, you you have to, if something isn't right, you're not comfortable with something, as a husband, you still need to speak up. You controlling her is not the same as saying, hey, I'm your husband, this is what I think will work best, this is what I think we need to do, this is what I want. And that's not control, that's just leadership from a husband. Some things get accepted and followed right away, some things are harder to work on, but that's all part of marriage. But not dominating, not controlling your wife is something that will help her to miss you when you're gone. I think she will miss that I've been very generous to her and her family. I've always encouraged her to be generous because, I know how that, makes me feel, and how much good, it can do. So I've always encouraged her, part of your money is for other people. So be generous with that. And Sky here, I have to admit, I told my wife I really didn't want a dog. I never had a dog before. And of course, I fell instantly in love with Sky. And now we do everything together. We go on walks. I play with her. She takes naps with me, sleeps with us, feed her, all of those things, take her to the vet. So I really love Sky very much. And she's, I let my wife buy her. And Sky has been good for both of us. So if you want to know how to help your wife to not help your wife to miss you when you're gone, watch my channel. I've got over 1,900 videos in various playlists. And, well, always just look through the playlist. There should be something I've talked about. I've still got several hundred topics I've got typed all out that I haven't made videos on yet. So I've got a large inventory that I want to share here. And, if it never really gets to be popular, well, that's just the way it goes. I think a lot of people want the easy way out. And they, there's, I think, two types of, I think I put this out on TikTok. TikTok's ahead of YouTube. Two types of men that look for women from the Philippines. And if you're on the right side of that, then you'll have a wife who misses you, and who, when you're gone, who will respect you and who will be a really good companion to you. If you're the type of foreigner who is looking for a committed relationship, and here on this channel, commitment equals marriage, because without that, to me, you're just single and you're available for the highest bidder, so to speak. And that's not commitment. In order, I think, for a wife to feel safe, in order for a husband to feel safe, it's better to get married and then work like crazy to do everything you can to stay married. A lot of my videos are about that. Of course, I know in some place, well, in this country in general, divorce rates, anywhere from 42 to 50%. Some states, it's about 70%, like California. There's a lot of Filipinos or Filipinas and Filipinos in California. So I'm sure part of the divorce rate in California is these type of relationships, foreigner with Filipina. But, there are things you can do. I always want to talk about being proactive. Don't assume that just because you invested some time, although we didn't, we got married so fast, but just because you invested 2, 3, 4 years does not mean that you can coast after that, because it's my feeling that the work really starts when you get married. You might think, well, that's, counterintuitive because you've already put in all this work. Well, it's groundwork, for the relationship, and to pick out somebody to marry, which, isn't always easy. And, but once you've done that, you haven't lived with this person. Normally, if you're from here, you're lucky to meet her and spend a couple of weeks with her due to vacation limitation. And although bringing that topic up, I personally here on Love Beyond the Sea think it's very, very appropriate and advisable to go out and meet someone that you feel you're serious about within 6 months. Within 6 months, I went right over there after 18 days and I proposed to her and I got vacation lined up in a April 25th, 2015 appointment at the embassy for that part of the spousal visa process. You had to get some kind of a document to show that I was not married. I'd never been married, so I didn't have a death certificate. I didn't have a divorce certificate. So I just had to, swear that I $50 and swear that I was still single and birth certificate and whatever. And we planned our marriage, and then we were together about a year later. But that's when it gets difficult. I feel like, as a big sports fan, I tend to come up with sports analogies, but I feel like the dating part, you're looking to date a woman from the Philippines, that to me is like the exhibition season. For example, this time of year, I suppose Major League Baseball teams are moving to Florida and Arizona for spring training where the weather's nicer. Here in the Midwest, it's going to be bitterly cold tomorrow. But, my team, Kansas City Royals, kind of local team, they always dominate in spring training. I mean, they hardly ever lose. And they knock the cover off the ball. Lots of home runs. But sure enough, once the season starts in April, they're as cold as ice. They can't score and they don't win. And they used to be out of, they eliminated for the title for their division by May. Now, I'm just kidding, of course, about that. But they get off to terrible starts. And so, how can they do so well? I even would listen to some of those exhibition games as a kid because I was so crazy about the Royals. George Brett, especially Bo Jackson. And then they would just play terrible when the season started. Or it's like the non-conference in basketball, because you play more college basketball. You play more non-conference games, and teams usually load up the non-conference with cupcakes, a lot of cupcakes, and some teams that will push them a little bit. Not many games against teams that are over their weight because they want to get wins before the conference season starts. To me, dating a Filipino is like the exhibition season in baseball. It's like the non-conference in college basketball. It's easier. It's easier because the competition isn't as challenging, and marriage gets more challenging, even with a Filipino. Why? I mean, she was so wonderful before you married her. Well, a lot of that's you're limited in being together, and that's when you can rub each other the wrong way when you're together, and also when you're dating. There isn't this kind of an expectation that somebody is in charge. Somebody's supposed to lead the relationship, and somebody should follow to make it work. You're just getting to know each other. You're doing lighthearted things from thousands of miles away on camera, and you have to do that. That's all good. But then when she gets here and the husband starts saying, and he should, okay, I want you to follow my lead. I'd like us to do this, and I'd like this to be that way because I'm the husband and I feel responsible before God for you. And here are the good habits or disciplines that I'd like to see in our marriage. And, again, without controlling. That's different. Controlling is one thing. Leading is another. Maybe that'd be another live stream topic. I've put some thought into that, but controlling is bad. It's not designed for the good of the woman, the wife. Leading is good. It's designed for the benefit of the wife. But once she's there and you have to kind of establish how things are going to be, is she going to work? What's she going to do for money? Maybe she's worked before. Maybe she's used to helping her family and she's going to continue to help her family. Well, that's something now you have to deal with. And it's not a negative thing, it's just a thing. When you're with a Filipina, she's going to want to send money back home. That's a good thing. It's a natural thing. If she doesn't want to send money back home, I mean, that's such a big red flag. Probably wouldn't have married her. She doesn't want to send money back home if she has a bad relationship with her family. That's a huge red flag. Might be best to move on. So then you've got that dynamic is the money, the money, and money topics cause a lot of stress in marriage, even ours. Even though we're comfortable, like I've told my wife before, here in the United States, you're going to have options, and I want to help you have options. And decisions are more difficult when you have options. Decisions are very easy when you don't have options. In the Philippines, she probably doesn't have many options day to day living. But when she comes here, her experience is opened up to having some independence of driving, working, being able to have some money to buy some kind of designer purse or watch or something, shoes, and you know put it out there on Facebook. And she should have the right to work and do something with her money. There's just like anybody else would here in America. But then she's got to learn how to handle money. Your wife's gonna have to learn to handle credit card. She's gonna have to establish credit right away. So, because it's just good, get her a credit card and teach her how to use it and the mistakes to avoid so that her credit score can go up, help her to get a loan for a car, I suppose. Um, Other things. It's just good to improve that credit score. Let her work, teach her how to work, teach her how things are different here in the United States. You got to be on time. It's not all. Sometimes I think there's a lot of fun and games in the Philippines and some places where they work. It's not that way here. Usually in the United States, pretty serious workforce. And so then there's just being away from home. She's been at home with her friends and family, and now she's thousands of miles away, and it may feel like millions of miles away. Sure, she can go on Viber or Facebook and Skype, whatever, and those are the ones we were using back then. And she can communicate with her family. No doubt she will probably overdo it early on because she's sad to be away from home. It's not the same thing. And you can't expect your Filipino wife to get here and just forget all her loyalty, her feelings of people she's going to be seeing less back home, friends, family. It's going to be tough. And it doesn't mean that you're not important to her as her husband. It just means that she's far away from home. And on those long flights to your country, she's had a lot of time to think about it too. And when she gets there and maybe the weather's awful, she wonders what she's gotten into. And you just have to really keep reminding her it's okay to miss your family, it's okay to miss your country. When I first got to, I've grown up here in Nebraska. I was in Minnesota for a year, but my first week in South Dakota, I thought the weather was so cold that I didn't know if I could make it. The coldest weather ever I've experienced was in Sturgis, South Dakota, Black Hills area. And that was for 1 year of my life. And it was a tough year, but we visited there a few years ago after 38 years away. And so that was a good experience. But yes, marrying a Filipino is a wonderful thing, but it's not easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is easy, is it? So my videos are designed to help talk about what works and what doesn't. As far as this topic here, by the way, um, anybody, I really would prefer to be answering your questions and responding to your comments here. These are just questions are just here as conversation starters or live stream starters. How much are you worth to your Filipino partner? It kind of ties in to the question on top. Will your Filipino miss you when you're gone? And over time, your Filipino wife should see that you are valuable to her, and you have to be patient. We've been married coming up on 10 years. Some years have been easy, some years have been hard, but we are both dedicated to our marriage, and that's the way it should be. By the way, when I hear people say, "Oh, my Philippine and I have never argued," I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. If it wouldn't even be healthy. If you haven't argued with your wife, well, maybe you or her are not bringing up some things that should be brought to light. Maybe she's afraid to contradict you. Maybe your temper is such that she feels like, you're just going to get upset with her. You don't value her opinion, and therefore you never argue. And the man thinks it's great. We never argue. Well, I think that's a, I think that's almost a red flag. Say, I never argue with her. I can see you dating each other again. That's the easy part, the minor leagues before the major leagues, the easy part. And then getting married, you're going to argue, and it's healthy and good to go through those arguments. Now, Para, you've been recently married. Um, I assume you've had some arguments over stupid things already, just stupid things, stupid stuff. And as time goes by, you'll be, having some arguments over some more serious things. That's just normal relations with a woman or another person. But, I want my wife to value me because of, I'm not trying to um, control her. Sometimes I think she thinks I am, but I don't quite understand that. As the leader, I have to say, you know, this is what I would like to see. This is how I have to lead us. This is how I have to direct us. But I give her all the freedom she could use, and that's just something you're going to have to work out with your wife. But she knows I've been generous to her family, and that should be there last beyond me. I've tried to support the things that are important to her and love the things that she loves and love the people that she loves. So I think that helps me be, worthy to her and valuable to her. Feeling alone with your partner. Um, well, if you've been together for, I mean, early on, I can see this possibly being a factor. You feel alone with her because you get through all the rush, the excitement, the easiness of chatting with her, and you've already established a relationship, and so you're just used to checking in with each other. That's easy because you've got something established, and and you can trust each other. You're always there for each other. Then you get here, and maybe she's kind of going through some homesickness, and she's chatting with her family a whole lot, and you kind of feel lonely. You kind of feel like, I wasn't expecting this. When is she going to kind of move away from that and adapt to my country? And I've gotten videos talking about that, the adaptation process. Above all, be patient and learn to do things that you both enjoy. Now, often there's an age gap with these relationships. And for example, if you got 20, 30-year age gap, the things that the foreigner likes and does and he finds appealing, she may not find it appealing. So somebody's going to have to do things that they don't enjoy, but they might enjoy it. But they have to find things to do in common. you may not have much in common when you get married to a Filipina. But one thing you have to do once you are married, you have to come up with things in common. Neither my wife never had a dog. I never had a dog. We love Sky to death. She's very valuable to us. Um, that's a new experience for us. Sky is sleeping there on the floor, one of her many naps during the day. We we're gonna After tonight, I think I'm gonna try to book our events for Branson, Missouri. We've been there probably 4 times, at least 4 times, and we're going to be going again this year to see some new things. That will be in April over Easter, and we already have a hotel booked. But Branson, Missouri is good, honest, family type of entertainment that my wife really enjoys. The last time we were there, she said, "I hope this place never goes away." Branson, Missouri. It's either your style or it's not. And my wife and I like the Branson entertainment, the 6 hour and half an hour, 6.5 hour drive there. Um, my wife likes those long drives. I would rather not go on long drives. But when you're married, to get off to a good start, you have to do things that you don't really want to do. Now, my wife and I are both homebodies, so there's a lot of new experiences for us because you might not be wired the same way, and that's something you have to get used to as well. Maybe you like to go out and do stuff, and maybe she doesn't, or it's the other way around. But somebody's going to have to try things they don't think they would like, and maybe they won't like. But for the sake of relationship, they have to, because then, at the end of the road, you know, she will miss you, and she will feel that it was worthwhile being married to you because you enhanced her life. One of the things we're going to do in Branson is go to the Sight and Sound Theater. They have biblical plays and they're world class productions. And they do it 2 times a day, I think pretty much every day for like 15 months, maybe a year and a half. And they're fantastic. We've seen some of them twice. They last about 2 hours, singing, dancing, acting, of course, costumes, 3 big stages. You're often looking back and forth because the stage is not just one stage. It's one over there and one over there and one in the middle. They're always sold out. People come from all over the country to watch those biblical plays. Last year, it was Queen Esther, and we saw that twice. We went with somebody else later in the year and let them see it for the first time, and we went again. That was cool. You always notice stuff the second time you didn't notice the first time. Now, in March of this year, 2025, King David production is coming. And so that's going to be a brand new one for us. So we're going to do that the Friday on our first night there. We'll go to the Showboat Bell. My wife likes that. Even though we've been there 2 or 3 times, she still likes that. The entertainment's good. She wants to have the, captain seating. So that's okay. If it makes her happy to go, we'll go. We'll go see something we've already seen because that's part of marriage now. You can't just do what you want to do. You have to make sacrifices and do what she wants to do. And it's been good for me because now it's like, what's coming up after, this play? I mean, and I was never into those, theater type productions. But to be honest with you, I like it more than sports. And I've been a sports fan for about 54, 55 years, but they often leave me feeling very disappointed, if not angry, when my team loses and doesn't play well or gets upset. And so there are times that it's like, oh, I'm never going to watch them again. I'm not going to watch any more this year. I already feel that way about our basketball team because it's like, why spend the time doing this and be so disappointed? You get you up and then they get you down. But you go to these theater plays and they're New York first class productions. They're just awesome. And it's all live, it's all memorized, it's all choreographed, and it's awesome. And I've never been let down, never been disappointed. We met one of the actors the last time, and they're all very nice people. And I like Branson. Okay, that's just our place to go. And we'll go on other places, do some other things she likes to do. There was a town of population one, which is, I think it's about 3 hour drive from here. We went there on the way to South Dakota. She wanted to see the Mount Rushmore. So we headed up north and we saw that and stopped by this town of one because she wanted to see it and meet the lady that lives there and runs the cafe. Usually truckers go by there. So we did that. And my wife brought her a gift. She likes to bring people little gifts, and she's definitely a gift giver. So that's her love language. And so I try to share with you, the audience, the things that work. Because I know very well you're hearing people say they never work. Or if they do work, she's just tolerating you until you die. And nobody wants to be tolerated. As husbands, we want to feel like we have something to offer them. We want to feel like they see value in us, and we want to proudly, go places with our Filipino wife. And age gap or not, you shouldn't really matter. So again, I've got 1,900 videos here on YouTube. There's probably over 200 videos with my wife in the videos. The Just Us playlist is where those are. She doesn't generally like to be in the videos. Some Filipinas don't. She's private. She just would rather not be in the videos. But occasionally she will and she wants to, so I'll put her in there. A lot of Branson trip videos are in there. Philippines, California, Minnesota, South Dakota. And I wish I'd kept our film from Paris, but that was our second anniversary, 2017. I didn't have a channel then. So I only have like one video from there, maybe two. But I had a lot more. So yeah, your life will change when you marry a woman from the Philippines. Probably more so than if you marry someone from your own country. But those things that you have to adapt to could be frustrating if you don't embrace them like you have to do. And if you do things the right way, there's no reason you can't have a good relationship with a woman from the Philippines. I know several people that have been attempting to find women from the Philippines at various degrees of success. I hope they find somebody over there or another country or here in the US, because I think marriage is better lifestyle than being single. I think it helps you to mature. I was going to say it helps you to grow up, which it does. I think marriage, if you handle it right, will help a young person grow up to be more of a man, and it will help a man become more mature. Since he's kind of physically already grown up, marriage can help him be more mature if you are aware of the challenges. The challenges are there for you. The challenges are there for me. They are going to be there. If somebody tells you, oh, my Filipina is great, we never argue, I would be very wary of a comment like that. Why wouldn't they argue once in a while? They're different people, different cultures, different ages, backgrounds, and opinions. And not arguing to me means somebody is afraid to speak up. Somebody isn't allowing somebody to speak up. I could be wrong, but generally, arguments can be healthy. All right, they can be healthy. So I would like to answer a question or respond to a comment from somebody here right now before I call it a day. It's 9:25. I can be here for hours, but I'm not going to just sit here and keep talking. I can, but I don't want to be talking to myself. I would rather respond to you on my channel. I guess I dare to go where other people don't go, and be very frank and realistic about marriage to a woman from the Philippines. So, if you want to ask me something, don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. I have a email. Probably, I'm trying to put it in the thumbnails now. They should be in the About section on YouTube. The email address is love beyond the sea for you at gmail.com. Love beyond the sea for you at gmail.com. And the 4 is the number 4. And I think that's the way I had to do it, because that's the only way I could get that particular Gmail address. But I've met many people there, trying to answer comments and so on. And some of them I've met in person when that opportunity came, and we were able to have some dialogue, even talk on the phone. And so I do want to be of help for people that, whether you're going to live in the Philippines or not, especially if you're going to live in the West with your wife, Filipino wife, I think I can help you. I think it's easier overall to be married to a Filipina and live in the Philippines than it is in the West, because there are less distractions over there. Over here in the West, things are expensive. We just got a $225 electric bill. And I thought, $225? I looked at the last 8 or 9 months of electric bills, and they were like 135, 155. And so then I decided to look back to last one at this time, and it was sure enough 225. So that's just the winter. Things get colder, and things are expensive, and things always come up that cost money. Of course, it's nice to have the money, but then that money goes in different places. In the Philippines, if you can accept the fact that it's a slower, quieter, maybe more uninteresting lifestyle, and maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to get away from, the rush, the rat race of living in the West. But I've heard foreigners say it gets old in a hurry. And I saw somebody do a video a while ago that like 80% of men going to the Philippines are gone within 3 years. They can't handle the weather. They can't help the slowness, do anything about the slowness of pace to get things done, which can be very frustrating. The medical care is great if you're a place that offers it, like a big city, has big hospitals. Otherwise, you might not get what you want. I don't think I can get some of the meds that I've used over there, which is kind of a factor for me. Brandon, 1989. Hi, Brandon, and good to see you here tonight. I think it's Friday night since I retired. I get the days mixed up. I can't even tell, but it's Friday. So I just got here. Sorry, I missed your life. Have you been? How have things been going? Well, like I was saying, we're coming up on 10 years of marriage in May of, back in 2015, we got married, and I'm hesitant here when I'm talking because I'm trying to remember where the time went. 10 years? Are you kidding me? I think my wife has had 11 birthdays since we got married. I just can't believe that. Honestly, it feels like we've been married about 2 or 3 years, but we're coming up on 10. My wife's working. She's doing great, making a lot of money, has a lot of respect in the workforce. I'm always encouraging her to use her God-given abilities best she can. She has high standards, and I just try to guide her to use them in the best way. And she'll be home tonight in about, I can't add 6 hours. She'll be home at 3:30 in the morning. She's going to work 4 hours late tonight because she's not working Saturday, but she will work Sunday. Every other weekend, she has to work Saturday and Sunday. So because she's not working Saturday this weekend, but Sunday, she's going to work late tonight to try to make up some of that loss of overtime. I guess she's kind of like me. When she got here, I told her, and I think she tells other people this too, get all the overtime you can. When overtime is available, do it. Take advantage of that overtime because that overtime isn't always available. So you might be tired of the overtime after a while, but you're so busy you don't have time to spend it. So you're still accumulating some money. Or if you're in the savings plan and you're getting a match, you're putting more money away. You don't have time to spend, and that's good for the long run. And one thing I've been trying to teach my wife is to think long term. In the Philippines, it's a very much a day-to-day lifestyle. Over here, I've told my wife when we got married, and we were both almost 10 years younger, I said, hon, as your husband, I've got to be, think 50 years ahead, 50 years ahead for you and your life, where you're going to be when you're, 76. And so just that perspective to think long term is something that Filipinos don't have to do in the Philippines. I think my wife is finally coming around to seeing that, yeah, life goes by awful fast and you need to be prepared for it. And there's some things she's learned from being here that she's trying to pass on back home, like saving money, for example. And saving money is something that probably doesn't happen a whole lot in the Philippines because if somebody is making money, there's always other family members that want it or need it. And then there's a lot of pressure to give it. So again, there's more opportunity. There are more options. With more options, there's more potential stress with decision making. But that's just how it is. Better to have opportunities than not to have opportunities. So I'm excited about the 10 years. I mean, Branson isn't. I mean, we were kicking around the idea of going to Italy, but I don't think we're going to go to Italy. One thing with our dog Sky has very much separation anxiety. We can't take her on the plane, and even if we could, that probably wouldn't be good for her. So we kind of have to factor Sky into our trips because she just doesn't do well without one of us around. So I think we'll go to Branson in April, and we've been to Paris on our second, and hopefully in the future we'll do more traveling. Um, doesn't have to coincide with 10 years of marriage. I'm very proud of 10 years of marriage coming up. Um, 10 years of marriage doesn't happen easy to anyone, even if you're married to somebody from the US. When we got married, trolls were saying it's not going to last 3 years and she's gone. She'll get her green card and she's gone. Well, that didn't work. She'll get her citizenship and she's gone. That didn't happen. She'll start making money. She's gone. That didn't happen. She'll learn to drive. She'll have independence. That didn't happen. She'll cheat on you or whatever. That didn't happen. I just thought a title of a book I read called Affair Proofing Your Marriage. And when you're married to a woman from the Philippines, you need to think ahead about the things that could go wrong and be ready to have a plan for it. So you can affair proof your marriage to a Filipina from day one, and that's how you treat her. Treat her with respect, treat her with love, and love her family and the things that she loves, and don't control her. Go a long way towards affair proofing your marriage, but treat her like crap and play mind games with her, try to control her, you're going to join that group of foreigners where it just doesn't work out. And then you'll hear the foreigner say, well, just didn't work out, It didn't work out because he didn't treat her well. Maybe he expected everything to go so smoothly. I don't know where he would get that impression. Certainly not here at Love Beyond the Sea. Yeah, thanks, Brandon. 10 years. I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Life has changed so much. I've just taken it one day at a time. And, I lost, well, I didn't really lose my job. It was a health related thing. And, my wife didn't leave me because, I didn't work for 4 years and then I got SSDI. She didn't leave me. I've been good to her. I've been helping her and her family. I got, money saved that we're using. And she didn't say, oh, there goes my meal ticket. But if you mistreat your wife somehow, that gives her an opportunity to find an excuse to leave you or be unfaithful to you. So I'd like to think my channel is basically about trying to affair proof, troubleshoot your relationship with a Filipina. I'm not here to tell you about the Philippines. I've been there 5, 6 times. Don't know if we'll go back again. I'd like to one more time before I die, just to see the places we've been and meet her family and the new children. It's just so, it's 4 flights there, 4 flights back, and it's hard. Maybe now I can handle it better, but I don't think that's in the cards this year. It'll have to be later in the year. You never know. Maybe next year. But yeah, I want to help people with the marriage part, the relationship part. And honestly, I don't know of any other channel on YouTube or TikTok that talks specifically about the ins and outs and nuts and bolts of marriage to a woman from the Philippines. To me, the goal is marriage, not dating. I think dating a Filipino is easy. There's lots of women that would want to go out with you or want to go out with you, a foreigner, you as somebody that can help them have a better life. I'm not saying they don't marry or look to marry Westerners to improve their life. Of course they do. And the sooner you accept that, the better. It's only natural. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Brandon says, watch your videos. Branson looks fun. I want to go visit it someday. Brandon, I don't know where you live, but how far are you away? For us, the last time we went, the GPS said 6 hours and 15 minutes. But I know one time the route was like 7 hours. So I'll say it's probably 6.5 hour drive. Oh, Oregon, my. Well, that would be that would be a long drive. And I don't know if there's anything like Branson in Oregon or anywhere else. They could be. I can't recall the history of Branson, but we went on a tour. I think it was the comedy tour where they would had a lot of silliness, but also drove us around some of the main parts and described Branson like this was the first bank, or this was the first of its kind, and it burned down. It was replaced by this, and here's where the people are. In fact, Branson, it's all about entertainment. They have a school or a college of what do you call it? Like caretaking and so on, where and it's a long, like 10-year waiting list to get in there, where they will teach you, and I think it might be free. They teach you how to work in that industry behind the scenes, like in the hotels and restaurants and so on. And because that's a big part of the industry. And it's just a really cool place, Brandon. And we saw Elvis, what's his name? Dean Z, the ultimate Elvis. He was fantastic. Dean Z was amazing. We had good seats up close, and we even bought the DVD of the show that we saw. You know, they're taping it, and so if you want to get it, you pay for it, and then you go up after the show or at the break and you pay for it, and then when it's over, you go claim your DVD. And we are going to go meet him, but he was late or whatever. I don't know. We had to go to another event. But Dean Z said he was from Branson. I mean, this guy might be the top Elvis impersonator out there. And he's got a lot of talent too. Personally, his singing and all of his stage presence. Young guy, I take it. Kind of a young Elvis impersonator. Great singer. The show was amazing. It really was. He's from Branson. His brother's in the band. His wife is one of the singers. And my wife likes it because it's very American, it's very patriotic and unashamedly patriotic, unashamedly a Christian place too. Um, One of the places we're going to this year, it's like I think it's the Hughes brothers. Um, and we went there and had a beautiful meal in a really cool auditorium. We were up in the upper level, and the meal was great. I mean, the food is great. And some of these events, they serve you dinner, and then you can watch the entertainment. And so we always plan on trying to get our meals in during these events. But I'm looking forward to that. Um, my wife and I have talked about going on a helicopter ride. It's like $189. I don't remember if that's for one of us or two of us. And I think I'm going to chicken out on that. I don't know. It would make some great video. As I talked my wife into taking some video while up there and passing it all into me. I just don't know. I've been on a small plane. We flew with somebody to Kansas City one time. I don't know, 10, 12 seater. Oh, it's terrifying. I can only imagine what a helicopter would be like, but maybe it wouldn't be so bad. So I don't know. You know, don't think anything like that in Oregon. I know some people don't like it if they're comparing the entertainment to be like Las Vegas, then they wouldn't like Branson. Um, like I said, the people are very friendly. They just seem very unpretentious. The Doug Gabriel show we've seen two or three times. Unfortunately, I think he's not there until Monday night, and we're leaving Monday morning. Or we'd go see Doug Gabriel again because every show we've been to his, it's been a little different. His family's in that too. They added comedy last year to their show, but he plays different instruments and he sings songs from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It's just a great place to go if you want good, clean family entertainment. You bring the whole family. That's why it's always packed out. Those biblical plays in Branson, Sight and Sound Theater. I think we saw Samson there. I think we saw Moses there, Queen Esther. We're going to see David. Maybe we saw Noah there too. I'm not sure, but it's just incredible. And always sold out. Families, it's just people that like that kind of thing go to Branson and they have a good time. We haven't gone in April before, but we went in December. It was kind of cold and a lot of the performers weren't there, but we found enough to do. And it's better here and will be better in April, although we do have a little bit more free time than we normally have. We'll plan to go into Silver Dollar City on that Saturday morning before we go to an event at 6:30 in the evening. Yeah, parabiology says we need more patriotism. That's great they have in Branson. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think twice we've been there around the 4th of July. And even if it wasn't the 4th of July, even if it wasn't, they recognize everybody in the audience that's served in the military in some way. and recognize them. They'll have patriotic songs. You know, I really like it. I mean, I feel like in this last election cycle, we kind of experienced the opposite of patriotism, where it's almost like there was shame for our country. And that's not the way you feel in Branson. It's not a bunch of, you know, foolish pride or we're better than you are. It's just good old fashioned patriotism. We love the United States. We love the people that defend us and protect us. And we like that about Branson. And it's a very Christian place, too. I don't know, I'm not saying everybody's a Christian, but the programs are very, in over Christmas, are very much like that. You know, people will, some of the performers will, you know, share the gospel, share their testimony, and it's and the entertainment is great. They're very talented. You know, I always wanted to be entertained with sports, and with sports, like I said earlier, comes losing and disappointment, or winning but not by as much as I wanted to, and a lot of disappointment and sometimes anger. I've never been to a show in Branson where I felt angry. I might have felt like, well, that show wasn't as big as these other guys, but you know, we're there to have fun, to enjoy ourselves, not take ourselves too seriously. I'm glad you've seen some of those videos, Brandon, because we'll take some more. It's just, I'm glad we found it. I knew about it forever, but I wasn't married, didn't have a girlfriend, so no reason to go that far away. Parabiology says it's well like the Porto Galera area of Mindoro. I'm going to mispronounce these names, including Sabong and White Beach areas. Live music, lots of restaurant choices. Yes, indeed. And one of the times, maybe the first or second time I was in the Philippines, we saw a live music show. The guy was singing Western songs like the Beatles, or I meant the Eagles and others, playing his guitar and taking requests. And we were eating nice meal, and you got the water out there. It was like, wow, this is extremely relaxing. And your Filipina relationship partner, they'll know the places to go. If you have the money to get them there, you can see some really cool places and live music everywhere. Of course, karaoke, but then there's music piped in everywhere. That's the one thing I remember the very first time I went there in 2015. Music everywhere, music in the malls, music everywhere, mostly from the 70s and 80s, mostly the 70s, which was kind of cool. I always wondered, how am I in the world? My wife knew songs from Kenny Rogers and the Bee Gees. I thought, is she just learning these songs because I'm older than she is and that's from my generation? No, that's what she grew up with too. It's like they're in a time warp over there with 70s music. Yeah, Branson, I know another YouTuber I've been communicating with for a few years, and he said he'd like to, you know, try to hit up Branson later this year. There's Silver Dollar City too. He's got a camper and all that, so it's going to be a little bit more complicated, involve more planning for him. But you know, we'll probably go try that because we haven't done it before. We're just trying to make memories, get away, just have fun, have photos that my wife can send back home. But I'm glad she likes Branson. I haven't forced Branson on her. I'd never been there before. She really likes it. She wants to keep going back. So as long as we haven't seen absolutely everything yet, you know, more than once or twice, you know, I think we'll still go to Branson, Missouri, not far from Arkansas. We took a train trip there, and we kind of entered in Arkansas back to Branson, Missouri. Um, Beautiful part of town. And I can only imagine going there around the fall, before the leaves have all come down, how September, October, how gorgeous it would be there in Branson. But that's our place. I started talking about Branson because I was referring to things that you and your Filipino wife need to establish once you're together, what you can do for entertainment. And it's possible that her type of entertainment will be similar to what she's seen in the Philippines. And so just, throw out some opportunities. Hopefully, you're able to travel with your Filipino wife. Parabiology, I'd be surprised. Only you would know this. You've probably been married long enough to know whether she wants to do any sightseeing. Now, you're in California, so there's a lot more to see in California. Here in Nebraska, we often have to go somewhere else um, in all directions if we want to see some entertainment. But you kind of got it all there, so you're kind of spoiled for entertainment. And does your wife, parabiology, does she want to go to Disneyland? Uh, we stayed at the house of a very generous subscriber, friend of ours, happens to be a subscriber, but mostly a friend. And he let us stay in his house with him. He took us to Disneyland. He took us to what do you call it? Universal Studios, and that was fun. Jim, if you ever see this, you're a great friend and a very generous man. And my wife enjoyed that, and I enjoyed that so much. And I wasn't going to be going on any death-defying rides, but we did go. I liked Universal Studios. I would go back to Universal Studios tomorrow if I could, because I didn't feel like I was, and my life was in danger, on some kind of a ride. I like those 3D, 4D rides, where you're not moving, but it seems like you are. That's kind of my speed. She likes sightseeing. She's going to Big Bear to see snow for the first time Monday, dying to go to Disneyland. Yeah, I'll bet she would be thrilled at Disneyland. We still had things to do at Disneyland, even though I wasn't going to go on, anything that I thought would kill me, because I kind of don't like heights and I don't like speed. Disney price has been pushed up like $200 per day on weekends. It's insane. Yeah, my wonderful and generous friend Jim paid for my wife and I for Disneyland, and he paid for Universal Studios, and he drove us and showed us the places to eat, drove us to Hollywood, saw the Walk of Fame. What a wonderful man he is, and very generous. And I hope God blesses him with a Filipino wife. I know that's what he's looking for. But yeah, you're right. It's expensive, but he's lived there all his life, and he's a huge Disneyland fan himself. And that's per day. Is that per person or is that for a couple? Parabiology. I almost, to me, $100 a day almost seems cheap for Disneyland. It wouldn't surprise me that it's 200 per day, but it wouldn't surprise me that it's $100 per day. I just know it's an experience. I liked it. I took plenty of video. Um, it was good to be in California. It's good to see Hollywood. Good to see, where else did we go? I'd have to go back and look at my videos, but that's the great thing about having a channel, is you can put your videos in playlists, so you can go see them at any time and relive those memories. Whereas if you put it on your phone, I suppose you could end up, I don't know, running out of storage or losing them somehow. I don't know. But as long as my YouTube channel is there, those memories will be there for a long time. Disneyland was great. Maybe Florida, still long travel and all that. But maybe we go to Florida someday. My friend Jim likes to go to Disneyland in Florida too, so maybe we meet him there someday. I don't know. But Branson's good for us. As my wife gets older, she doesn't like those death-defying rides as much. Although she likes zip lining. It's been a while since she did. Maybe she'll do some zip lining in Silver Dollar City. You won't catch me doing anything like that. It might make a good video, but I just feel like I'll be that 1 in 10,000 person where something goes wrong and a pin slips out and then I go crashing into something. I just don't want to take that chance. Just announced a special for residents. If you get 3 days, we'll probably do that. Is that all in Disneyland? 3 days? Can you spend 3 days in Disneyland? I mean, if you see everything there is, then maybe you could. Also, parabiology, when you go on those rides, um, since we didn't pay for anything, I don't know. Uh, can you go on them over and over again without paying more? It's just a matter of getting back in line. When we went, it was raining. I have a video about how hard it was raining, and it was raining hard. But you know what? Everything went on. Nothing was stopped. Everybody just had their raincoats on and umbrellas, and everything went as planned. But normally it's not like that there. But it was raining pretty much the whole time, and good restaurants, good experience, good to be alive and say that you saw certain things in your life, especially with someone you love, someone you're trying to develop memories with. And I hope that your relationship goes good. Parabiology, with the different people I've talked to, and it's been a while, I kind of don't remember how old they are necessarily or where they live. But, I'm still here saying that a Filipina can make you a good wife. Yeah, you can find a younger wife in the Philippines, but that doesn't mean you don't have to work hard for her. A younger wife is 99 to 100% going to want a baby. And my wife and I have unfortunately not been able to do that. It's not for lack of trying different things. And it's been hard for my wife. I think she's learning to be content with that. That was that's tough for her. But again, we're still to excuse me, we're still together because I am committed to my wife, and I respect her very much. I can't wait for her to be home. Be 3:30 in the morning. It's about a 30-minute trip, so normally she'll call me when she leaves work at 11, and we'll just talk on the phone, try to keep her company on the way home. I don't think we're going to do that at 3 o'clock. I'll take Sky to bed, and hopefully she's not up at 11:30 wondering where mommy is, and start howling and stuff like that. Sky is very good for time. When it's time to eat, she'll come over and jump on me in bed. I'm taking a nap, look at my face, and I look up and it's 6:15. She knows it's time to eat. Breakfast, you got a dog or a cockapoo, they're always up. You wake up in the morning and open your eyes and your cockapoo is sitting right there in the bed looking at you. It's like she wakes up early. So anyway, we really love our Sky. And she's 11 months old. She's going to celebrate a birthday next month. Her first. We're going to make a big deal out of that. Get her a cake with one candle and buy her some gifts. Invite some people over, and it'll be Sky's first birthday. And that's just another thing that I mentioned because it has value to this channel. Having Sky, our dog, which we hope we keep her for another 100 years or so. I know she's only going to live 10 to 12 years, but Sky's been good for our marriage. We both have to take care of her. It's something we both do together. It's something we can both talk about. We've talked about going to Branson. We've talked about going to California, long drives, wherever your wife wants to go. My mom was watching a movie, you know the one. What's it called? North by Northwest. Is that the Hitchcock movie where it's at Branson? I mean, Mount Rushmore. So she said, "Boy, I'd like to see that someday." So it's about 7 hour drive north, not too bad. And we went to South Dakota, and we went there. And then I said, "You know what, hon? While we're here, let's go drop into Sturgis, where I used to work back in 1982. Yeah, 1982. So it'd been a long time since I was there, and we went. I even did a video from there. The station is no longer there; it's something else. Looks run down and terrible. And I walked in there taking some film, and then I realized I wasn't wanted. So we headed back out in the parking lot, and I was just there to soak in the memories. I'm just a big memory processor. I don't know why. I like making memories and reliving those memories, and all the memories I have from Sturgis, South Dakota were terrible. I always thought if I went there again, it would be with grenades. And I wanted to try to forget about the whole experience because, very small town. I think the population there then is about the same as is now, about 5,000, 5,200 motorcycle rally place. And very lonely when you're out there working a third shift job. And, well, I guess it was not technically third shift, but when I got there, everybody else would be done. And then I would get home around 2 in the morning, and um, just very lonely, tough to deal with. And I had to work like 7 days a week. They couldn't get enough staff at that radio station. So I gave up on my radio career pretty quick and came back where I had been working before, where I retired from. And I felt like I was put that the experience in South Dakota was there for a reason. It was a terrible time emotionally for me, terrible time mentally. And I thought, I keep telling people, God doesn't waste pain. God doesn't waste pain. And those are very painful experience. And so I wanted to go back and kind of make myself right with it all. I wanted to go back and have good thoughts, not shake my fist at it and blow it up. And I found out I had outlived the stations. What used to be a station was old, dilapidated, but there's some waterworks company doing business in there. And they have a new station, which was actually right next to our hotel. But we were there on the weekend and they weren't letting anybody in. Otherwise, I wanted to go in and see the new studio and all that. So I got what I wanted out of that experience. I visited Sturgis again and went to the downtown, what do you call that, Main Street area of a small town. And honestly, most of it hadn't changed, but I just hadn't recognized it. It had been almost 40 years since I was there. But it was nice to go. And I felt like that was kind of a bucket list item for me, which was to go back to where I had the worst experience of my life and come back and survive it. So I did. So we were there for fun, but also I had a personal mission of mine to go back there and feel that I won and it didn't defeat me, that whole experience. So anyway, it's kind of a bit of a tangent. So parabiology, better take advantage of that special. Ever since I went there, I kind of get these Google announcements from Disney, and man, it is expensive. And they lost a lot of money last year too. I'm sure they've got a lot of money, but I'm sure there's a million things that your new wife can enjoy there. I'm sure you just have to let her know. Don't expect this all the time, because it is expensive. And if you're used to driving around California, good for you. You'll be able to Sky. You'll be able to take her to a lot of places. If Sky hears a noise at all, she starts barking. She has great hearing, great sense of smell. We didn't go for a walk today. It was just too cold. And she threw up this morning. First time she threw up. I don't know if she swallowed something. I don't know. She's always sniffing the floors. Anyway, I'm now a dog parent. Hi, beautiful, which has been good for us. So my channel is about 6 years old. Let's see, it's February 14th, 2018. So we're coming up actually on 7 years with this channel. Hasn't done well at all as far as getting subscribers, especially with the amount of videos. But I don't know. I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, maybe it's not worth doing this anymore. But as I mentioned earlier, I've got a Word document with probably 260 topics that I've never done before. 90 some I've written, the rest I haven't. I just jot down these ideas and hit save, and then when the time comes, I can make those videos. And in the meanwhile, I still come up with ideas that I haven't even gotten to that list for a while. But I know there's only one of you here. I don't know if it's parabiology, or probably is, or Brandon, who was here earlier. But if I keep doing these, I do want to have more people here where I can talk to, and they can open up and ask me anything, because I won't beat around the bush. I will just be very honest with you about what to expect and be truthful with you. I'm not sure you can always get that with other channels, because they give me the impression they want to give you the impression that things are just so easy with a Filipino, like it's just a wind-up relationship, wind it up and everything goes well, that they're so outstandingly better than any woman anywhere else. There's good women in every country. We could get in the whole topic of being picky. The more picky you are, the more things on your must-have list, the longer it's going to take to get married. In the meanwhile, some really good prospects will get taken by other men who are in more of a hurry to get married. But I do understand being picky. I mean, we all have our standards, so to speak. And if we've had bad experiences, we want to do all we can to avoid repeating them. Parabiology, just not the special for residency, so we'll probably do that. 3 days, wow. And I assume, Para, that includes hotels. They've got hotels, as you know, right there on the grounds. That would be nice. Then you don't have to travel anywhere. And I'll bet they're pretty cheap, because everything else about Disneyland is expensive. But if you can manage to stay in a hotel that's right there, what a trip. What a time for your new wife. The entertainment, just walking around miles and miles, make sure she has the right kind of shoes, because you do a lot of walking there. And the restaurants, Filipinos don't usually eat a lot of food because they're small. I don't know. My wife looks to me, and again, we've been married almost 10 years. She looks to me like she weighs what she did when we got married back in 2015. What's the Mister for? I don't understand. Oh, no hotel? No hotel is part of the package. Well, I'm sure there's hotels all around. Yeah, depending where you live, I suppose you could drive there and back. Universal Studios was in another city, so but a generous friend Jim drove us there. And the weather's usually really nice. Obviously now there's horrendous fires going on, but I heard on the news today that it looks like it's starting to simmer down over there with those wildfires, and hopefully the worst is over. And I imagine it may take, you know, 10 years to rebuild. One of the experts was saying 5 to 8 years he thought to rebuild, but who knows? But again, my channel is about being married to a woman from the Philippines. I'd like to do more of these live streams, and maybe if I just plug away, more people will come here. I don't think I set it up as an announcement. It's been a while since I did that, and I just decided I wanted to stay up tonight, so I'll do a video, drink some coffee because my wife wasn't going to be home till later. But if anybody else joins in, my name is Bob. My channel is Love Beyond the Sea. It's about relationships, marriage to a woman from the Philippines. I share my experiences. I can't share everything, but I can certainly talk in general about everything that we go through in relationships. So I like to find articles that talk about things and then find a way to relate that to how a foreigner with a Filipina, how that might fit into his life, and then talk about those things just so that people will be prepared to date and marry a Filipina. I can't say that I would want to do it all over again. We got married very quick, less than 8 weeks, and we were husband and wife. I had a wife, finally, after a Guinness Book of World Records length of being without a girlfriend. We got married in less than 8 weeks, and now we're coming up on 10 years. So was it the right decision? Yes. Has it just been smooth as silk? No, and it never will be. I don't see how it can be. People being people. I think Sky will settle down at my feet here underneath the desk where she likes to be. So I guess I don't want to say goodnight because I'd rather talk for another couple hours. But if there's not going to be any other questions and things to talk about, it could be about anything and everything with a relationship with a woman from the Philippines. We can talk about traveling there. We can talk about what the Philippines is like, type of woman to go out with, red flags and green flags, and hopefully we'll do that over time. But I do kind of question how much time to invest in this when the bang doesn't seem to be worth the buck. But I always appreciate anybody being here for the live streams. I'd like to do them more if there more people would be involved. Maybe doing them approximately at the same time on the same day would help with that. So Para, thank you for sharing tonight. Thank you also, Brandon 1989. I haven't heard from a while, for a while. I haven't done a live stream. Very many of them this year. Driving now. Okay, that's fine. It is 8:14 where you are. I assume it's dark. It gets dark here in Nebraska about 5:30. In fact, in the Philippines, if you ever go to the Philippines, it gets dark at 5:30 every night, 365 days a year. That's just what happens. But then the good thing is it cools down at that time too. And if you're out there on a scooter or in a sidecar, then any sweat you have, the motion, cools you off, and it feels like a very nice place to be when it's not so hot. So I hope everybody here has a good weekend. I hope if people look at this video live stream later, they will subscribe and be prepared to watch other videos and leave me questions. That's what I'm here for, to help people find love beyond the sea. So until the next live stream, just be looking for some videos, and I hope everybody has a good rest of the day.